Proverbs, the ways of wisdom. This fall, we're going to be going through a book of Proverbs. If you opened up your Bible right to the middle, you'd end up near a book called the book of Psalms. If you could just find the book of Psalms, the book directly after that is the book of Proverbs. But the book of Proverbs holds a lot of truth, a lot of nuggets of truth that I think will be directly applicable, that will directly apply to the lives that you all lead each day. And so this fall and even into the spring, we're going to just go through this book, probably chapter by chapter, and we're going to just dig in and try to find kind of these little nuggets of truth that I think we can apply to our daily lives. And part of what I'm going to be doing with these videos is actually trying to expound on some of that content and try to keep them short and concise, but expound on that content that maybe we didn't get to handle on a Sunday night. And so that's what we're going to be handling this fall. The title of the series is going to be The Way of Wisdom, the book of Proverbs, The Way of Wisdom. And the reason that I wanted to choose this book is not just because of the knowledge and the truth factor, but because of why the book was even written in the first place. It was written by a guy named King Solomon, who we've probably heard about, but don't know enough about or much about to really understand why he's important. He was a king in the Old Testament, and this guy knew how to party. He knew how to chase after things in the world. He knew how to chase after things around him, to pursue them. And you want to talk about parties? This guy threw parties that required thousands of animals, and basically just to feed the amount of people that he would have at these parties. Ultimately, they say that there was almost 15,000 people at these parties every time he threw them. Now, I don't know about you, but I've been at parties where there's been 50 people, 100 people, and that's probably being generous. But talking about a party that has 15,000 people is probably unprecedented. There's probably not many parties that have ever been thrown that are that big, but King Solomon would throw parties that were so big that it wasn't just livestock that had to go down for him. It was gardens and vineyards that had to be planted and irrigated by ponds. You could actually go to Israel and see a place called the Pools of Solomon. Look it up on Google sometime. And those are believed to be what irrigated Solomon's vineyards and gardens so that he could have enough food to feed people night in and night out at these parties. And so yeah, King Solomon had a lot of wisdom, both God-given, both biblical, as well as street smart wisdom. The guy had experienced a lot. And so he shares that wisdom in this book, the book of Proverbs. And it says in the book of Proverbs that it was written to give prudence and wisdom to youth, to the simple, to the people that need it. But it's also there to give knowledge and wisdom to the wise, to basically make them smarter than they already were. And so, man, I'm excited about digging into this because I think there's going to be a lot of application to our daily lives. The other thing that it says is that it was written to teach youth to take the way of wisdom instead of the way of folly. And it gives two examples of folly, one of which I think we experience more than we want to admit, and that is that when we use the way of wisdom versus the way of folly would be to use other people as stepping stones, to basically use them to get to where we want to get to. And sometimes that requires dishonesty, and sometimes that requires oppression. And I'll say this, there's been times in my life where I would have never thought that that's what I was doing or pursuing. But what I found out is that intent doesn't always matter, right? You can intend to do the right thing and do the completely wrong thing. And that's what I found. I've been in that position before. And so I know that a lot of you have probably been in that position, and I'm hoping to be able to speak to some of that this coming fall and into the spring. But the other way is a way that it makes us uncomfortable because the world around us is telling us that this is okay. And that is when we pursue pleasure, particularly sexually, outside of the realm of marriage. And man, we could talk on and on about why I think the wisdom that he's trying to express here is 100% accurate. But that's not what this video is about. That's not what we're getting into. And so I'm not going to get into that. But just know we're going to be talking about some of that. And that's not all we're going to be talking about, just those two things. But those are a couple of the things that we're going to be able to handle this coming fall and into the spring. And so I'm looking forward to doing that. We're going to be starting on September 4th, right at 6:30, and we'll go till 8 o'clock. And so our kickoff is the 31st, which is a Wednesday. And so that Labor Day weekend, which if you can make it, please be there. But if not, I understand. So September 4th, 6:30 to 8, we're going to meet for the first time on Sunday nights, and we're going to start to dig into the book of Proverbs. I look forward to seeing you.
This is the end. Hold your breath and count to 10.